Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you're a returning listener, it's great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, we're really glad you joined us. Hope you like what you hear. Today, we're going to talk about the power of skepticism. And I want to just be real clear up front. We're not talking about being negative. We're not talking about shitting all over everybody's ideas. We're not talking about being the person that always says no. What we're talking about is why it's important to question thoughts and ideas, especially your own thoughts and ideas, to help make you smarter and stronger. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The core message for today, we've kind of already talked about. Skepticism is not negativity. That's not what it means. It's actually an intellectual discipline. It's how you protect yourself from blind spots. It's how you can build stronger beliefs, and it's how you can make better decisions. True confidence, not fake confidence, not fake it till you make it, not loud, not aggressive, not fake confidence, but true confidence comes from testing your ideas, not just believing in them blindly. We're talking about this on purpose because we think it's a big issue in today's society. There's a lot of people who blindly cling to their beliefs, and I'm not talking about just politics. The same thing can be said in business. The same thing can be said in religion. The same thing can be said in relationships. And if you're not willing to test your beliefs, I would argue that your beliefs probably aren't very good, because if you have great beliefs and you can validate them and you can argue for them and you have answers or responses for the downsides or the negatives that exist with every idea, then you can have confidence that you're in a really good spot. So we're going to talk about how to do that today. And we hope that you'll take it to heart, and we hope that you will incorporate this into how you approach things in your life going forward. Okay? So number one, certainty absolutely can be an enemy to growth. How many things were you certain about that you were wrong about? There's tons of things in my past where I was certain I was right, and I was completely and 100% wrong. And that's the challenge. When you're absolutely sure that you're right, you stop learning. You stop taking in information. You stop listening to feedback. And that's when your growth, personal, professional, intellectual, that's when it stops. So research shows overconfidence and belief polarization causes people to double down even when presented with contrary evidence. That's Nyan and Reefer in Political Behavior 2010. So how many times have you seen someone who is certain things are one way when they're presented with very valid, verifiable evidence that counters or contradicts what they think? They refuse to believe it. They double down. I'm still right. I don't care. Psychologists call this the illusion of exploratory depth. We think that we understand complex ideas better than we actually do. That's from Rosenbitz and Keel in Cognitive Science in 2002. So the reason I'm citing studies and citing scientific research to back up these claims is because I think it's important to be able to validate and verify that you have scientific evidence to prove the things that you believe. Like, this is the whole argument that we're making. You may be able to find evidence that contradicts what we're talking about. I'd love to hear that, because I'm telling you what I've learned from my 53 years from reading, from experience, that it's good to be skeptical and it's good to ask questions, especially when you're certain you are right. That's dangerous territory. When you're 100% sure you know you're right, man, I don't know. That's a pretty scary place to be, because it means you stop learning. It means you stop listening to counter arguments and feedback, and that's not a good place to be. So we've got an action step for you on this one. Write down one belief or plan that you are 100% certain about. You know it. And then list 3 things that you don't fully understand about it. So here's an example. I believe I need to leave my job to be happy. Okay? Maybe you do. That's your belief, though. Strongly held belief. Some things you could ask yourself. What are the actual causes of my unhappiness? What would I lose by leaving this job? Have I tried improving my current situation first? Maybe you have. Maybe you've got answers to all those questions and you feel good about it. At least you can now move forward with certainty that, yes, I'm 100% certain that I've done everything in my power that I'm willing to do to try to make this situation better. It's not getting better. I got to go find a new gig. You can move forward with that thought process and be confident if you are skeptical and ask yourself questions that run counter to what you're thinking or feeling. Okay? Here's another opportunity. Argue against yourself. It's a great way to think about problems or issues or deep philosophical thoughts from a 360-degree view. The smartest thinkers on any particular subject can debate both sides of an issue, including their own. They can come up with the arguments against what they believe or what they know. Studies on considering the opposite show that it deliberately constructing counter arguments reduces bias and improves decision accuracy. That's from Lord, Lepper, and Preston in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, published in 1984. I mean, that's 50 years ago, man. That's like, well, I guess 40 years ago now, but it's a long time ago. Human nature is what it is. So think about that. When you are willing to consider the opposite or make arguments against the position you actually hold, it reduces your bias and it improves your decision accuracy. Why would you not want that? Why would you not want to be less biased? And why would you not want to make more accurate and more correct decisions? The way to do that is to consider other ideas, consider other viewpoints. This technique trains intellectual humility, the awareness that your perspective is limited and could be wrong, right? That's very, very possible. Think about all the things that you've thought for certain at different points in your life you knew were 100% correct. They turned out to be wrong somewhere down the road. By the way, that intellectual humility, that little tidbit there, is from Crumry and Mancuso in the Journal of Positive Psychology in 2020. So again, we're not just making this up. This is not just us spitballing and throwing things against the wall. There's a lot of scientific research that shows when you're willing to listen to other ideas, when you're willing to consider contrarian viewpoints, when you're willing to consider, I might be wrong, I should listen to other people's viewpoints, you're going to be in a better spot intellectually and you're going to make better decisions. So the action step here is to take one of your core ideas, maybe it's a business plan, maybe it's a strongly held belief that you have, or a worldview that you have, and argue against it for 5 minutes. Take the position of someone who opposes your viewpoint or holds a different viewpoint and make their arguments for them. Ask these questions. If I wanted to prove myself wrong, what evidence would I look for? What facts or experiences would make me change my mind? You'll either strengthen your position, that's a good thing, or uncover its weaknesses, also a good thing. So there's no losing. You win either way. The intellectual exercise of considering and arguing alternate viewpoints is super helpful. It's going to help you grow as a thinker. It's going to help you grow as a leader. It's going to help you grow in your personal and professional relationships. It's a really good approach. Okay. Number 3, a pre-mortem thinking. We've always heard post-mortem. Well, post-mortem, what happened? What went wrong? Pre-mortem thinking is a great thing to do. What could wreck your plan? What are variables that you know about that could blow the whole thing up? Optimism without realism is really self-sabotage. A pre-mortem flips that on its head and allows you to get ahead of it. Psychologist Gary Klein introduced the pre-mortem method, where you imagine your plan has already failed and you ask why. The anticipatory failure analysis improves project outcomes and risk awareness. He published that in the Harvard Business Review in 2007. So you imagine a time where the plan that you're undertaking has failed and you're trying to figure out, okay, what led me to this point? What are the items that you come up with? What are the challenges that could have brought that plan to an end or that business down, whatever it is? Research shows that considering potential failure enhances planning accuracy and problem-solving performance. That's from Mitchell and a group of people in Organizational Behavior and Human Decision Processes in 1989. Again, this is data from back when I was in high school, for goodness sake. So this is not new information. We know how the human mind works. We know that it's good for us to be skeptical. We know that we get better as thinkers and leaders and people when we listen to alternate viewpoints, not only listen to, but strongly consider. Maybe it strengthens the position you already have. Maybe it completely changes your mind. That's not the point. The point is you need to consider these alternate viewpoints so you're thinking about things in the best way possible. So before you commit to any new project, write down, my plan failed. Why? You're projecting out in the future. What could prevent you from success? What are the roadblocks that you might have to overcome? And what's your plan to overcome them when they happen? What decisions or blind spots caused this failure that you're imagining in the future? And most importantly, what could I do right now to prevent that scenario? This exercise makes you both realistic and resilient. We heard Charlie Munger, who was Warren Buffett's partner. He passed away about a year ago, late 90s. Obviously very successful, very young in life when he served in the military. He used to route flying missions, planes. And I heard him talk about it one time, and he said, the first thing I did was ask, what could I do that would get these guys killed? And then how do I stay as far away from doing that as possible? Maybe it's flying over a certain area. Maybe it's flying at a certain time of day. Maybe it's a crazy route. Whatever it was, he tried to figure out what was the worst thing he could do before he put these plans together. And then when he put the plans together, had that front of mind to avoid the most dangerous pitfalls or the most dangerous situations for the people he was routing. Same thing here. Think about the things that could go wrong and what you're going to do right now to try to stop them from going wrong or to try to avoid them completely. All right? Okay, number 4. Skepticism actually builds confidence, not doubt. This one's important because people think skepticism is a weakness. It's actually a strength. When you think about, people love to hear someone confident. I'm certain this will work. I know it's a plan. Think about what politicians do. They guarantee you a bunch of shit they absolutely cannot guarantee you, but they'll stand up in front of you like they've got all the answers. They know this will work, et cetera, right? That's absolutely false. It's a weakness. They're just trying to get your vote. It's a strength to consider the downsides. It's a strength to think critically and skeptically about your plans and ideas and approach. Intellectual humility correlates with higher open-mindedness, better judgment, and even better interpersonal relationships. That's by Leary and a group of people in the Journal of Positive Psychology in 2017. So think about that for a second. Intellectual humility correlates with higher open-mindedness, better judgment, and even better interpersonal relationships. Which one of those sounds bad to you? Is it being more open-minded? Does that suck? No, of course it doesn't. Is it having better judgment, making better decisions? Clearly, we'd all like to do that. And then who doesn't want better interpersonal relationships? One way to do that is to think critically and not cling to these beliefs that you're so certain are true that very well could not be true. Neuroscientists have found that people with flexible beliefs show healthier brain patterns for learning and adaptation. That's by Sue and a group of people, published in the PNAS in 2005. It's a psychology journal. And flexible beliefs show healthier brain patterns for learning and adaptation. That's going to allow you to continue to grow intellectually. It's going to allow you to continue to grow as a person, allow you to continue to grow as a leader, as a husband, as a wife. Whatever your situation is, you're going to get better at thinking about the challenges that you might face. And that's going to make you more prepared to face them if they do come up. So each week, here's our action step. Each week, ask yourself one of these. What did I change my mind about this week? What did I think about this week? What did I reconsider this week? What new evidence surprised me? What new evidence ran contrary to the way I thought about things before this week started? If your answer to this is nothing, you might not be thinking deeply enough. You might not be spending enough time doing the work to question yourself and make yourself better. And that's terribly important for our growth as people. We've got to think deeply. We've got to think about things from a viewpoint that's different than the one we have now to try to push ourselves to learn and to grow and to adapt. Okay? Number 5, you want to build a habit of scientific skepticism. There's been few things that have driven me as crazy the last 5 years as the phrase trust the science. The phrase trust the science is the antithesis of how science actually works. Science by nature is skeptical. Science asks questions. Science says, prove it. Prove it undoubtedly. Prove it beyond any doubt. That's when things become scientific fact. Until then, it's a theory. It's conjecture. And you are supposed to, from a scientific method, you're supposed to test and try to prove things wrong. The scientific mindset is question, test, observe, revise. It applies perfectly to life. It's a great way to think. Question, test, observe, revise. Science thrives on skeptical curiosity. Doubt, test, and retest ideas rather than defend them. That is from the American Psychological Association in 2023. So science thrives on skeptical curiosity. It is not trust the science. It's the exact opposite. Do not trust the science. Ask for proof. Prove it to yourself. Ask questions. Be skeptical. Doubt, test, and retest ideas rather than just defend them. How many times did we hear that during COVID? You're not allowed to question this. This is the narrative. This is what happened, no matter what evidence runs contrary to it. That's not scientific in any way, shape, or form. I'm so tired of hearing trust the science. That's the exact opposite of how science actually works. So you can start your own skeptics journal. Each time you make a decision or adopt a belief, write down what you think, write down what could prove it wrong or what would prove it wrong, and then check back in a week, a month, whatever the time frame is, to see what, if anything, has changed. Over time, you'll build evidence-based confidence, not blind conviction or leaps of faith. And that's such a good place to be as a person, as a thinker, as a leader. That's what we want to learn to do so to make us all better people. So those are our 5 points today, guys. Why skepticism and questioning, especially the beliefs you hold strongly on a regular basis, is a good exercise for all of us to do. And remember, skepticism isn't about doubting everything. It's about earning certainty. You can feel very strong in your convictions if you test them and try to prove them wrong or look for evidence that runs contrary to your beliefs. It's how you replace arrogance with awareness. It's how you replace assumptions with evidence, and it's how you replace fragility with strength. All right? The next time you feel absolutely certain about something, remember that's your cue to take a stop, take a pause, and start asking questions. The person who challenges their own thinking will always stay a step ahead. That's where we want to be as people. We want to be skeptical. We want to ask questions. We want to be open-minded to new ideas and new information. And we should be willing to accept that we're wrong when we're wrong, and we should change our viewpoint. All right, guys. So that's the episode for today. Look, James puts it up over here every day. Head over to our website, saltygingertalk.com. All of our podcast episodes are there. Links to all of our social media accounts are there. We publish a newsletter every weekday you can subscribe to on our website. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to our podcast, whatever platform you consume it on. We have awesome guests on. We interview them to talk about their lives and what has gone on in their life and what they've learned. And they share that with our listeners. It's valuable. They give great tips and information about how you can build a life of meaning and purpose and pursue things that are important to you. They're awesome people. They come from all walks of life, a ton of money, no money, old, young, all different races, ethnicities, genders, doesn't matter. We have awesome people on that share all those experiences. They share such good stuff. It's so valuable to you to build the life that you want. You don't want to miss any of it. So make sure that you catch our next episode. We'll see you there.